Hey there, film fans. D-Corr number 4 here for another movie review. Today I wanted to go through and review a movie that came out actually kind of a while ago. It came out May 6th, 2016, and that is Captain America Civil War. So let's get started. This movie is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, two fantastic directors, and I love the gritty reality almost that they bring to the Marvel Universe. They directed Captain America the Winter Soldier, and they are set to direct the third Avengers movie, which was previously titled Infinity War, but Marvel has since retracted that title. Obviously, it's a reference to the comic storyline Infinity Gauntlet, in which Thanos takes control of the 6 Infinity Stones and faces the Avengers, which is what they're basing the third Avengers movie on, which I'm really excited about. The music for Civil War was done by Henry Jackman, and soundtracks are something I could spend all day talking about, but I'm not going to. Let's just say I strongly disliked this soundtrack because it was extremely forgettable. It kind of actually took away from the movie for me. When I go in to see a superhero movie, I want an amazing soundtrack, and I did not get that today, or when I saw it. The cast, this is a star-studded cast, and I'm going to try and remember all of the people involved in this. Obviously, we have Chris Evans as Captain America. We have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. We have Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. We have Anthony Mackie as Falcon, Paul Bettany as Vision, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Don Cheadle as War Machine, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, or the Winter Soldier. And, I think that's actually all of them. If I missed any, post in the comments and let me know. The acting really was superb. I think Marvel has done a really good job casting. I don't love Chris Hemsworth. I don't think he's a great actor, but as far as looks for Thor goes, he's perfect, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. The plot for this movie was interesting. It did actually follow the storyline. Well, actually, you know what? It didn't follow the comic storyline at all. This is based off of the storyline Civil War. And when they announced that this is going to be the third Captain America movie, I was not surprised, because those of you who have read the comic book, which is one of my favorites, by the way, know that it really is a Captain America story. In the movie, a gentleman, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who actually made an appearance in The Incredible Hulk, played by William Hurt, basically gives the Avengers an ultimatum. He's taking a look at all the destruction, and he says, you guys need to be controlled by the governments. And so he gives them this thing called the Sokovian Accords, and tells them if they don't sign that and become under the subject of the governments, then they'll be forced to retire. And this divides Captain America and Iron Man, because Captain America does not think the Avengers should operate on someone's agenda. And that's kind of the same thing with I actually have the comic right here. This is the comic Civil War, and it really is a fantastic read. You should definitely check it out, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. As far as the movie goes, this really is an intriguing plot, because we have two characters who we've grown to love over the years through the MCU, getting angrier and angrier at each other for not listening to the other one and their beliefs, which really is kind of an interesting paradox for how the world is getting nowadays. The villain is played by Daniel Bruhl, and it's Zemo, who actually in the comics is one of the Avengers' most formidable foes, Baron Zemo. And I'm going to address Marvel's biggest problem right now, and that is that they have the most forgettable villains. Daniel Bruhl offers a sincere portrayal, but their villains just don't offer anything new. They don't command the screen like someone like the Joker does. So hopefully with this next Avengers movie with Thanos, or even Michael Keaton in Spider-Man Homecoming, July 2017, hopefully, hopefully Marvel will figure out how to make their villains a more central part of the movie. So I kind of talked about this earlier. A lot of people came out of this movie saying, oh, there are so many Avengers in that. That's an Avengers movie. That's not a Captain America movie. For those of you who said that, you are absolutely and completely wrong. And you didn't understand this movie at all, because this really is a Captain America movie, because this whole thing revolves around the decisions he makes, and it focuses really on how he's trying to stay true to what he believes in. Interestingly enough, after the Civil War storyline in the comics, Captain America is actually shot and killed. And I thought they were going to do that for this movie. Spoiler alert, thankfully they didn't. So that's kind of one of the main differences between the movie and the comics. If I were to give this movie a rating, I would rate it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm subtracting 1 star for the poor soundtrack, and I am subtracting another star because of the poor choice of villain. Soundtrack for the day is the Dawn of Justice soundtrack, Batman vs. Superman. It's done by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL, and it is an absolutely incredibly intense soundtrack, and you should definitely check it out. That's all I got for this review. Stay frosty, film fans.